Ava had always been curious about the supernatural. Ever since her mother passed away from cancer when she was 10, she had wondered what it was like on the other side. She missed her mother terribly and longed to speak to her again. So when she turned 18, Ava decided to take matters into her own hands and try to communicate with her mother using a Ouija board. She waited until her father was away on a business trip before inviting her friends over to try the board. They sat around the living room, candles flickering on the coffee table as they placed their fingers on the board. Ava closed her eyes and focused on her mother, asking if she was there. At first, nothing happened. But then the planchette began to move, spelling out letters and numbers in response to Ava's questions. She felt a shiver run down her spine as the board spelled out her mother's name, Sarah. Tears filled her eyes as she asked if her mother was happy on the other side. The board responded with a series of strange movements that Ava couldn't make sense of. But she didn't care. She was convinced that her mother was communicating with her through the board. She continued to use the board every night, spending hours asking her mother questions and receiving what she believed were answers. But as the days went on, Ava began to notice strange things happening around the house. Doors would open and close on their own, and she would hear footsteps in the hallway when she was home alone. At first, she tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just her imagination. But then she started to see shadows moving across the walls and strange figures in the corner of her eye. One night, as Ava was lying in bed, she heard a whisper in her ear. "Ava," the voice whispered, "you shouldn't have come here." She turned on the light, but there was no one there. She tried to brush it off as a dream, but the feeling of unease lingered. The next day, Ava's friends came over to try the board again. But this time, something was different. The planchette moved quickly and erratically, spelling out words that made no sense. Suddenly, the candles flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. Ava's friends screamed as they felt something cold and clammy touch their skin. They ran out of the house as fast as they could, leaving Ava alone in the dark. As Ava sat in the living room, trembling with fear, she heard a voice whisper her name. She turned around, but no one was there. Suddenly, the planchette on the Ouija board started to move on its own, spelling out a message that made Ava's blood run cold. It spelled out the words, "I'm not your mother."